This is Dave Rogge. I'm here this afternoon with Coach Jeff Chambers, the varsity wrestling coach, on behalf of the Chelan Sports blog. Coach, thanks for taking some time out here.
Oh, not a problem. Anytime.
Guys have had lots of good things happening over the last couple of weeks. Tell us a little bit about what's been happening and what's ahead.
Oh, man. We've been completely blessed. It's been an awesome season. As a first-year head coach, to walk into a great program here at Chelan High and take over from some great coaches prior to me. We entered this season unknown. My wrestlers didn't know me, and I didn't know them, and same with the coaching staff. There wasn't anything familiar with each other. And so through some tough matches at the beginning of the season, we kind of struggled a little bit. And then we just kept powering through it. And it paid off when it had to. And so we ended up taking league. We went 6-0 in league against OMAC, Cashmere, and Cascade, which was awesome. But it goes back to our students, just the resilience in our students. And then also in our assistant head coach, Randy Gleesman. We had a practice early in the season. It was a break you practice. It was one of those practices where we were going to find out if you're going to make it or not. Because we were struggling at some matches. We was out at Royal, and Royal just handed us a butt whooping. And we were at a couple other tournaments and pretty much got dealt with. And so we just had to kind of pull in the reins and pull all the wrestlers together and kind of figure out what are we doing here. And so it started with our captains. It started with Ty Schwartz, Dane Schwartz, and Julian Buyas, who basically called out the wrestlers. They stepped up and called them out and had a talk with them. And from that day on, it's been roses ever since. And then after league, we took league champs. After league, we rolled into OMAC and took districts. And it was pretty amazing to watch our students evolve this year. From where we were struggling with a new head coach and also a head coach with not a whole lot of experience. You know, I'm pretty raw when it comes to it. I know some of the basic stuff for wrestling, and so I had to lean on a lot of my coaches. The biggest is Randy Gleesman, Pat Chisholm, Jesse Allen, and Leo Pastor. They've all stepped up and really just took this season by storm. And so, so we're heading out to regionals. Actually, we leave Friday to Colville, where we're going to find out if we really are as good as we think we are. And you're going to walk into regionals with schools like Deer Park and Lakeside and all these other schools out there that are pretty amazing. And so we're going to really find out and test ourselves. But, my biggest thing is we only have 5 seniors. So we're small in the sense of our age-wise. We're young. We're a young team. But I tell you what, I would place any one of my freshmen against anyone's senior. We got a kid like J.C. Austin at 106 who's just been dominant. He started off at 120. He pretty much battled and won everything through 120, cleared out 113, and he made weight to come down to 106, and we're looking good.
Now, when a kid goes down to make a weight, is that dangerous at all, or is that...
No, the WIAA has really laid out a game plan for student wrestlers, for student athletes when it comes to wrestling. They really lay out a game plan, and you follow it week by week. So every week you have a benchmark, and through nutrition and what your performance is and how much you're losing through the week, you can only lose about a pound a week.
Oh, okay.
And so JC, he took that on. He wanted to get down to 106, and I mean to get down to 106, but he did it the right way. He also went and hung out with and visited his doctor to make sure, and that's the one thing we stress. We got some great physicians in this community that watch over us and that basically watch our weight, watch our hydration and our water and all that good stuff. So he did it the smart way. I know some kids want to take shortcuts through X-Lax and diet pills. That's going to ruin your liver and your body, and so. We've actually told our kids, let's do it the smart way. And so we've battled through that, and kids not cutting weight the wrong way, they're doing it the right way, and waiting until the end of the season to do it, working a little bit at a time. And so we've got a couple kids that have dropped down, and the minute they've dropped down, they've started dominating, like Javier Pastor, who's a sophomore, who dropped from 132, he was wrestling at it all season, and now he's at 126 along with Mauricio Reyes. And those two are just dominant forces. So they're going to be heading into regionals also. But, we're a young team. And I think we're going to be a nightmare for a couple years to come. I mean, we got a kid like, J.C. Austin, Kenny Reeves, Eric Alcala, who just shows out every week, and it's been just awesome to see. We're really freshman heavy right now, and that's actually a good thing because these kids are going to get the experience of going to regionals and hopefully make it off to state. And as a freshman to go to regionals, that's huge. And if you can get a couple freshmen into state and get that experience under their belt and get the taste in their mouth, I mean, that's going to be huge. So we got 5 seniors right now, and they're working hard, but at the same time, we're also saying, we're prepared for the next couple of years. We're going to have a great wrestling program here at Chelan, and we're excited. But this year's not done, and we're focused on regionals.
Sure. Well, obviously, postseason in different sports works different ways, and especially being now that CTL is so small, but wrestling is so much different because it's one-on-one now. I mean, and they can send. I mean, even if you didn't win the regional meet as a team, you could still send quite a few wrestlers to state, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, you look at it. We walked into districts with 24 students, and we walk into regionals with 19. So that means 6 students didn't make it that day. And that's tough. Even though we won it as a team, those 6 kids that was one match away from going on, that's disappointment, man. Because, wrestling is truly, I think, the hardest sport. You can't hide. It's just you and another guy. It's mano a mano in the middle, center of the ring, on the match. And you're... Man, you can't hide. You can't hide your skill set, and you can't hide how much you want it. Are you going to let that other guy out wrestle you or out heart you? And so, for us to take 19 guys, if we take 19 guys, and let's say we take 10 to state, that's still a team win. Because the one thing we're stressing here in this program is, regardless if you're wrestling, you're going to be training just as hard to get the guys ready. Right. And so we've seen that all year. We got a huge wrestling program here at Chelan. I mean, we had 30-something kids out. And so you figure a varsity match is only 14 in your lineup. That means there's 16 to 18 kids that aren't wrestling. But those same 16 to 18 kids that aren't wrestling for varsity duels, they're working just as hard. And I think that's what's going to shock some people when we walk into regionals is it's not just our seniors, man. It's our freshmen and our sophomores and the handful of juniors we got. And so I think people are going to be shocked to see the Chelan Goats. And we're going to walk in as an underdog, of course. Nobody knows us. First year head coach, young team. But I also look at what we did in league and in districts. I don't think people expected us to do anything there either, and look what happened.
Well, and they're coming together, it sounds like, doing their best wrestling at the right time of the year, so that's pretty important, isn't it?
Oh, man. Most definitely, like any sport, you want to save their best for the postseason. And it's, whether it's football and you want to save it for the playoffs, and so it's the same thing in wrestling. If we can come into regionals healthy, we've got a healthy squad right now. Everybody's in peak precision condition right now. It's beautiful to see these kids hungry. We just had 2 amazing practices, and nobody quit. Nobody got pissed off. No one got upset. They were pretty much wanting to still wrestle. We had to cut wrestling practice short yesterday. Like, kids were still wanting to go at it, and that is great to see, especially from a young squad. I mean, to have freshmen still
a lot of heart there yet, a lot of desire.
Oh yeah,
oh boy,
oh yeah. But again, it all goes back to me personally. It goes back to Gleesman. It goes back to what he has set here at Chelan High, in, as far as our wrestling program.
Well, and I think I've had a chance to talk to some of the kids along the way, interviewing them and stuff. And I asked recently, I was talking to the Schwartz twins, and I said, guys, what's the difference? And they clearly pointed out the fact that you have your role, and you play a valuable role, which is character building, personal building. Randy has his role of technique building, strength building, quickness building, and that the 2 of those pieces make one person a whole lot better. And so I think you don't want to sell yourself short there, even though it is your first year. And obviously you can tell by your enthusiasm that it's been a great first year for you. You've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure looking forward to the future. I do have to ask you one question before I let you get away,
Most
though.
definitely.
Beginning of the season, you said, well, we do something called the Chelan way.
Oh, yeah.
But you didn't really seem to, when you said that, it was kind of like you almost wanted to scratch the back of your head because you weren't real sure exactly what that meant. Do you know what the Chelan way is now, Coach?
Man, you know what? After this season, I've seen it. It's integrity, perseverance, and ownership. It's these are student athletes, and they got to understand they're students first. And the Chelan way is making sure all your stuff is done before you come to practice or before you go to a meet. Mm-hmm. It's having integrity in your school, the honor code. We honor the honor code. It's persevering through school. It's making sure your stuff is done, making sure you're on top of it, because it's just going to make you a better athlete when you don't have to worry about it. When you can walk into a match and walk onto the mat and not have to worry about, did I get my algebra done or my English done or my social studies done, and I can just focus just on wrestling, it makes it a big deal for these students. And so the Chelan way is we're student athletes first. They're students first. They got to be great in the classroom, not just on the mat. And then the biggest one is, and you'll hear it throughout all the sports, it's family. I mean, these guys breathe it. I know people want to throw it on shirts and talk about family first, but here at Chelan, it's something special. I think the minute Rainville showed up and started really making a point to have integrity and honor, and along with our principal and everything with Barry DePauli, these kids have bought into it. And so not only is it working in the classrooms, it's working out in their sports. And I learned that, coming from a big city and sometimes thinking, hey, I'd rather have the athlete rather than the student. I'm learning it's the opposite here, and that's the Chelan way, and it's integrity, and I love it here. That sense that these guys, they really buy into it.
And that's one of the things that I like to try to share with the community when I do these things, is to let them know that these kids are something more than just athletes.
Oh, man.
They've grown up together. They are a family.
Oh, yeah.
They've got each other's back all the time.
Most definitely.
And the coaches are right there with them. And so, Coach, we want to just congratulate you on a great first year.
Thank you.
Because it does, whether you want to acknowledge it or not always, it does begin at the top. And if you believe in these guys, they're going to believe in you. And it all, it's the old adage, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Most definitely.
And, the reality is that we all work together. We all make it happen. Your coaches, your teachers, your principals, everybody. And Chelan has a great deal of pride, and they should. There's a great place to be. So.
All I can say is I hope this community is proud of these kids. They've worked their butt off this year. So have the coaches, putting in the time and the travel. Especially the wives, of all the coaches that are here, especially my wife Lizzie, allowing me to even have this opportunity to wrestle. We had to sit and talk about it, because this means this is 2 seasons back to back that I'm not a husband 100% of the time. And so I just have to give a big thank you to our community for showing out and showing up for these kids. We showed up to OMAC at districts, and it was awesome to see people there that didn't even have kids wrestling to come and support. And the same with our home duel. We had a couple people coming out that weren't even part of the wrestling program. And one thing I can promise moving next year is we're going to have more home meets. We're going to make it a point to bring it home to Chelan and try to beat people in our own home. Something about having our community behind us, and I know the kids love it, and we cherish it as coaches. And I just want to say thank you guys for this great ride.
Great. Well, Coach, congratulations. Good luck this weekend. Give the guys our best of luck, and we'll look forward to hearing from you and finding out how many of those 19, hopefully all 19, will be tripping over to Tacoma with you next week.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to be here next week when we're talking about state.
All right, Coach. Go Goats.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.